God wanted me to encourage somebody that you've been waiting a long time and it just feels like it's never going to happen. It feels like you've been forgotten. Well, first of all, it can happen suddenly. It can happen suddenly, and it can happen at any time where you meet that person that you've been dreaming of, that you've been waiting for. And I want you to know, if you have it in your heart to be married, to find that person, to love and to be loved by, God has not forgotten you. He knows where that person is right now. He knows what city they're in, what state they're in, what country they're in, and he knows how to bring them to you no matter where you are. Ask me how I know. I was 2 months away from saying I do. It was in the church bulletin, announced the whole thing. Long story short, that whole thing unraveled. And it took me 10 years to get married after being 2 months away from getting married. That's a long time when you're that close. But the first 7 years after that relationship unraveled were the best 7 years of my life, because it actually prepared me for everything that I was to do for the next 20 years. Plus, it prepared me for that person. See, sometimes God has to prepare you for the person, and sometimes he's guarding you and protecting you from the wrong person, because marriage is not the rapture. I heard a saying many years ago, and it never left me, that it's better to be single than to wish that you were. And there are some married people that wish they were single today. So the $1 million question that every single had at the time that me and 2 other brothers were overseeing the singles ministry was, how do I know when the person that's in my life is God's mate for me? How do I know who my mate is? That was the big question. And God does have somebody special for you, but I'm going to say something that might blow your mind a little bit, and that's that there's more than one person on planet Earth that you could be compatible with. Because if I got to find that one person out of 8 billion, first of all, I don't have to find them. God will bring that person into your space. But there is something you may have to do. For instance, my wife of 29 years, she actually introduced herself to me first and said, "Will you marry me?" That's not what she did. But she did introduce herself to me, and she took initiative. We were at a women's conference. It was 700 women there, and she introduced herself to me, and I was smitten from the moment I met her. I wasn't seeking a wife at the time. I was seeking God at the time. And from that point, I took the initiative. So I say that to say, some singles think that God is going to magically put this person into your life, and they're going to somehow say, "I'm the one that you've been waiting for all these years." No, you have to put yourself in a position sometimes to meet people. You're not trying to make it happen, but they're not going to come knocking on your door. Sometimes God is protecting you. Sometimes he's keeping you because he's jealous over you. He's not going to allow somebody into your life that you're going to say "I do" to, but they don't value you for who you are. Or maybe you all are not equally yoked. You're not going in the same direction. You're not on fire. You don't have the same passion for God and for the things of God. And so this message is predominantly to Christian singles who love God and who are believing for a mate. And I care about that. And I want to see you happy. I want you to know, from having been married for 29 years, that marriage comes with its own set of struggles, ups and downs, twists and turns. But singleness is a gift. It's a gift from God for service that you have for a little while, where you can totally and completely dedicate your time and your energy and everything you have to God. And that period of your life is precious. It's so important that you have that, because once you're married, it all changes. So there's a lot of things I could say about this, but the thing I want to say to you today is that God hasn't forgotten you. He hasn't forgotten you. And for some of you, within 1 year, you'll meet that person. Stay faithful to God, put him first, and he says he will give you the desires of your heart. So that's all I got for you today. Love you much, praying for you. I'm believing with you that God's gonna blow your mind with the person of your dreams.